Few adults have seen what goes on at a rave, and the reasons will become apparent. Behind closed doors, there are no rules, no curfew, but there is the opportunity for serious trouble. Lynchers report is a warning for parents and for teenagers who've been there.
You walk in there, and your whole body is just beat. It's such a good feeling.
It's really like going into another world. It's a trip. It's fun.
Something to do. To have fun, dance.
They call it a rave, and it's the latest kid craze. Millions of youngsters as young as age 10 flock to secret locations to party and dance through the night. That's all night long, often till 8 or 9 in the morning.
It's just a bunch of people getting together having a good time.
It sounds innocent, but beneath the laser lights and loud music, America's youth are rebelling in a new and dangerous way.
It's like anarchy for like a night.
And chaos fueled by blatant, brazen drug taking. Raves are happening in cities and small towns, in farm fields and abandoned warehouses, after-hours bars or clubs, anywhere that's far from adult supervision. The result is sometimes outrageous and risky behavior. Like this firewalk outside a rave in Texas. By their own report, the teenagers were tripping on LSD at the time. John, age 23, organizes raves for a living.
To me, it's a dance party, and that's what I tell kids.
You may not have heard the word rave, but young people find out about them through a network of secret passwords. There are even rave sites on the internet. One of the reasons kids like to keep them underground and away from the prying eyes of parents and police is the widespread drug use. Raves have become a haven for drug taking with a dance beat.
You cannot go to a rave without finding drugs.
This young man should know. Now a confidential police informant, he used to earn a living dealing drugs. And for him, there was no better place than a rave. His profit? Almost $4,000 a night.
Raves, for me, as far as selling drugs, were like holidays.
Often he would sell out long before the rave was over, the demand for drugs exceeding his supply. He says most kids were buying.
If you go to a rave and you are not on ecstasy or some other kind of drug, then you kind of stick out like a sore thumb. You're an endangered species.
To see this world for ourselves, 2020 attended some raves with a hidden camera. At an event in Newburgh, New York, thousands of kids arrived in cars with license plates from 8 different states, some as far away as Vermont and Virginia. We didn't even get near the door before we were approached to buy drugs.
What do you got?
You want some X? Acid, special K? You know I got that too, right?
You do?
Yeah, talk to me.
Translation: X or E is for ecstasy, an amphetamine-like drug to stay up all night and dance. Acid is LSD to hallucinate. And special K is ketamine, snorted by humans, but used by vets to anesthetize animals.
It's very hard to go to a rave and not use drugs. The peer pressure to take these drugs in this environment is just profoundly strong.
Dr. David McDowell is a psychiatrist who has studied ravers' drug use at the scene. His results are startling. What was it that shocked you most when you first went to a rave?
Over 70% of the kids said they were on drugs at the time.
Does the youngster going to the rave take one drug, several drugs?
Several.
What's the several drugs?
Many of these drugs are addicting, and many of them have terrible side effects, and can lead to tremendous devastation, both personally and biologically, down the road.
What's the difference between getting drugs on a street corner and at a rave?
When we asked kids where had you had your first drug experience, they uniformly said at raves. When we said, are you more likely to use drugs at raves than outside of raves, they said yes. I think that this is, and this is one of the dangers of it, is it's a place of initiation.
Everybody's just there and they just accept each other, and that's...
We gathered a group of young people together to talk to us about the rave phenomenon. While some say they don't use drugs, this group of suburban kids gave us a pretty good idea of what's going on at the all-night dance marathons. How common are drugs, Doug, at the raves?
Pretty common.
Can you get anything you want?
Ecstasy, acid, K.
Tell me about the feeling of ecstasy. Is it a high? Is it a buzz?
It's just like a tingle through your whole body. Might feel like there's a fuzz across the whole outside of your body. Like styrofoam almost.
Is that a feeling you want to have?
If we gave you E right now, you'd want another one. I guarantee it. If, like, anyone, who's anyone that I know that does E or has ever done it likes it. You can spike your principal's drink at school with it, and they'd like it.
What do you feel like the next day?
Well, it depends on the E.
Okay.
Some E makes you feel like really strung out the next day. It's not like real E, so you just feel like...
In other words, sometimes the ecstasy is not pure.
No.
What's mixed in with it?
Heroin.
Heroin can be mixed in with it?
Yeah.
Without your knowing?
Anything.
Who wants to tell me what K is like? Joe?
I guess it's like an odd form of being drunk.
If you've done too much, you can't dance. You're just gonna sit there and bug out.
I have a friend that holds it all the time, and
Holds it all the time means goes into a K-hole, which means it's totally out of it.
totally out of it, to the point where we go, like, we rub ice cubes on, you can melt an ice cube on his neck, and he still just sits there, like, with his head down in his arms.
All right, any of you ever go to raves on a school night while you're at school? How in the world did you get to class the next day?
I didn't.
What did you do?
I stayed there.
Stayed at the party?
Yeah. It went on till like 9 in the morning.
Do your parents know you go to raves?
Yeah, my mom knows that I go.
How does she feel about it?
She doesn't like it, but she doesn't, I don't know, I don't really give her a choice. I kind of just go anyway.
Caroline, what about your parents when you stay out all night at a rave?
They don't like it, but they really can't say anything because they've never been to one to know about it.
What else did you take? E?
Most cops don't know much about raves either, so they don't know what to do about them. Remember the guy who offered to sell us drugs at the rave in Newburgh, New York? Not only were police unaware of his activities, they only showed up because a neighbor complained about the noise. Chief of Police William Bloom. Were you aware when you got this noise complaint, were your officers aware that there might be drug activity going on there?
No.
But without trying too hard, we found drug paraphernalia littering the dance floor. Police cited that in their report, but did nothing about it. We collected samples and sent them to a lab. All tested positive for drugs. And when police closed down the first rave, some kids simply drove half a mile down the road to a different building. There was even a sign there advertising angel dust and ecstasy. Were your officers aware that night that if one place closes down, the kids would tend to go somewhere else?
No, I'm not sure that they were. I don't think so.
We just heard about it in the parking lot. It wasn't a secret, in other words. It's not like you had to have your computer and log onto the internet at that moment.
Right. There are a lot of things that night we could have did differently, and we should have.
What should have been done in another rave case is not much comfort to Marcia Montesi. I had no idea what a rave was. Her daughter Sandy was a healthy college student working hard at 2 jobs. On the night of July 3rd, 1992, Sandy attended a rave in Orlando, Florida. Early next morning, the family was summoned to the hospital.
She was hooked up to all kinds of machines, and we knew then that it was over. They tried to do open heart massages, but they couldn't save her.
According to the coroner's report, Sandy's temperature soared to 107 degrees before she died.
They said that she had went into massive heart failure from a high temperature, which was brought on by a drug called ecstasy.
She could make you laugh no matter what.
Montesi learned even more disturbing facts about the establishment that held the rave the night her daughter died. In the 2 previous years, the club had been visited by police 500 times, often to deal with drug activity. Through her grief, Montesi helped enact a local ordinance to close such places down. And she had the dealer who supplied the ecstasy, which killed her daughter, put in prison for manslaughter.
I'd have locked her in the room if I'd have had to. Anything. There's nothing I can do for my daughter. I can't bring her back, but I want to keep somebody else's parents from having to go through this. You have no idea what kind of destruction it does to a family. And I think the hardest part is, like they say, is never being able to say goodbye and not understanding why.
Sandy Montesi's death is not the only fatality associated with Florida raves. 2 others died during the same year. forcing state investigators and police to focus on the rave world and examine its connection with drugs.
We were shocked at the flagrancy. We were shocked at the openness. I don't think we had ever run across so many young people so openly ingesting drugs.